Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, January 10th, 2017. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our regular panel, the Duke on my immediate right and my far right, Super Dave, and filling in for Miss Joanne tonight, we have Ian as our studio director. So we hope all goes well tonight, Ian.
Ian, you mean, isn't that Zach?
Zach, I'm sorry.
Have
Zach,
I lost my mind here?
Yep. Zach, I'm having a Zach attack. So,
Boy, Hawk, is it painful when you talk? It's
I probably won't do much talking tonight. I'll just ask great questions. So I'm going to start. I got a cup of coffee here.
That's enough.
Yeah. I'm going to talk baseball. Unfortunately, it's not going to be all that. I have never, never seen such a dearth of news in baseball in my life.
Is that right? You'd call this the quietest?
In my whole
absolutely.
life. And I don't even have a second place.
Really?
Now, the news for David, of course, 2 weeks ago, he was all excited about acquiring a pitcher I love a lot, Garrett Cole, former first overall pick from UCLA, and didn't have a great season this past year, but put up good numbers previous years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So today, early afternoon, David, it was announced that Garrett Cole went to the Houston Astros. About an hour later, that was brought back that, no, this deal has not been consummated, that the Pirates is still looking for an additional piece or maybe a change of piece.
So maybe, what, a three-way trade or something?
No. This is direct. Houston.
I think, because when I went to, drove down to Burlington this afternoon, I was listening to MLB, and it sounds like the deal's right off. And it sounds very typical of Pittsburgh in that I think probably what they tried to do is they tried to use Houston as leverage to get a better deal from the Yankees.
Okay.
And I don't think that's going to happen. And then Houston probably offered them a pretty good deal. And like I was telling you last week, Houston, not Houston, but Pittsburgh, from all of the stuff that I've read, Pittsburgh only does trades if they're the absolute 100% winner.
Yep.
And so these other guys are going to say, hey, you know what, forget it. But there's really nothing going on. Well, it only is making common sense because these 30-year-old players plus at $20 million a year, the contracts are all albatrosses.
Yep.
And I think...
So these guys who are dreaming of the good old 7, 8, 9, 10-year contracts are
I think what you're going to see when they get push comes to shove, you'll see some 3-year deals. I think that AAVs might be halfway decent. I mean, like, I was reading a thing yesterday in the New York Post. Todd Frazier says that he's in the best shape he's ever been in, and he wants to play for the Mets or the Yankees.
Right.
And, of course, they all... But, I just can't see. Can you see anybody paying $150 million for Jake Arrieta?
He's 32, something like that.
Yeah.
Very good pitcher. But, David, I thought of you early, maybe 5 days ago. I read on the internet the reasons why nothing's happening. And the gist of the story was it's taken pretty much forever, but general managers are starting to realize these long contracts
are
the last
poison.
The last 2 years, basically, you get nothing out of them.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that your guy from AAA is this much less skilled than the guy you're paying $100 million for. Look at the Yankees with Ellsbury. They played Hicks. Instead of Ellsbury, and they're paying Hicks like $1 million a year.
And look at the Red Sox, desperately looking for a third baseman for how many years?
And they got a guy,
bring up Rafael Devers, who they're paying nothing to, who looks like he might be their third baseman for 10 or 15 years.
Well, I think the Red Sox made a statement not just for themselves, but for the whole league when they signed Mitch Moreland for 2 years, $6.5 million per year. Say Mitch gets 25 home runs. Difference between a guy hitting 25 and 30 might be an additional $10 million a year.
Right, but even if they got somebody, that just sounded like such a common sense move. But yeah, I hear you.
Now, you know the guys that are getting the money? Relief pitchers. Not just closers. because they realize that the formula has changed,
Yeah.
and you need a guy in the 6th inning and the 7th inning and the 8th inning, and those are the guys that have done pretty well.
Yeah.
The starters, why should you pay a guy? You don't need to pay a guy $25 million a year to pitch 4 innings.
Right. And as I said ad nauseum on the show, if a guy pitches 200 innings now, he's a workhorse. Okay? Back when we were kids, it was the standard was 300
There
innings.
I was listening to that, it was either yesterday or the day before, less than 30 pitchers that had over 300 or 200 innings this year.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I didn't bring the stats, but I saw the guy from Detroit, Jack Morris, made the Hall of Fame through the Veterans Committee.
Which was I would have picked Jack Morris anyway.
And I want to, of course, his taboo was he had a 3.90 ERA. But even when Jack Morris pitched during the 80s, he had a fair amount of complete games back then.
And the big difference with Jack Morris, I think, made 8 or 9 All-Star teams and was a starting pitcher for 5 or 6. Jack Morris was the best starting pitcher of his era. And the difference is that when he started a game, he finished it. And so when you're ahead 8-2, you give up a couple 2-3 runs. You don't care, and I don't think the starters do that anymore.
Yeah, I think I actually read that a number of years ago. He said if he was up like 8-2, last couple innings he would pitch to contact just to get the game over.
Yeah, and I think the Veterans Committee did a good job picking him.
Yeah.
And
who else? They took Alan Trammell.
Trammell, who was a really good ball player.
But I want to get back to your point about Pittsburgh. I will tell you, last year before the Nats, who I thought had Chris Sale, on a Sunday night, I saw the ESPN scroll saying Nationals close to acquiring Chris Sale. I'm going nuts. And of course, that's when Dabrowski the following morning made a better deal. So, but before that even happened, we tried to acquire Andrew McCutchen from the Pirates.
I remember.
But they wanted the moon, okay? They wanted, good general managers try to work out what's good for you and it's good for me, we'll shake on it. But Pittsburgh was asking for Victor Robles, who I know nobody knows out there, but he's the second-rated ball player in the minors right now, only behind Gleyber Torres of the Yankees. And the other guy behind him is Leonard Parent's kid, Ronald Acuna.
Okay.
And that's the name I'm telling you to watch out for this year. But we didn't get McCutchen, we didn't get Chris Sale, and then we made the trade for Adam Eaton, who was injured 3 weeks into the season. But we didn't have to give up Robles.
Now, will Eaton be back this year?
Eaton?
Is he better?
He'll be back. Yeah, he'll be leading off, and Trey Turner batting second. But, I scour the internet. This is my best time of the year for baseball. It's better than the middle of July. I just like reading baseball.
There's
in the
nothing.
offseason. There's just nothing. So when I saw Garrett Cole being traded to the Astros, and I don't want to put too much into this guy, and I said I wouldn't talk much tonight, but I'm sorry. But Garrett Cole could be the tipping point of who makes it to the World Series. The Yankees have him versus the Astros have him.
Wow, look at what Verlander did. If either of the last 4 teams had had Verlander instead of the Astros, they'd have been in the World Series. I can't believe the Yankees didn't pick him up. I think a lot of people thought he was too much for what you were getting.
I think his ERA was actually under 2.
He pitched great for Houston.
What's his contract?
It actually isn't that bad. It's like $25 million a year for maybe two more years.
Yeah, and being on a Detroit could end up losing 100 games this year, but being on a World Series champ, and they're probably...
we got a call.
Oh, let's grab a call. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey, fellas. How we doing?
We're doing good.
How you doing?
You look rather dapper tonight, Nighthawk. There, you're all nicely color-coded. And
Well, I've always said it's not how you feel, it's how you look.
Oh, you felt as well as you look.
Right. I
It's better to
feel,
look good than to feel good.
100%.
yeah, I feel horrible, but I look terrific. Thank you for noticing. It's good.
That is impressive.
Yeah, I was going to mention there, Cole, for the Pirates, he did not have a good year this past year.
He did not.
So, you got to be aware a little bit. I don't know how old he is, how many innings he's pitched. I'm not a big follower of the National League, but, what should we give for him if you are a trader for him? Is he going to have a year like last year or a little bit worse? So, if I was Pittsburgh, I would not play that game they're trying to play. They may be a little smarter trying to deal them now. And like McCutchen, probably 3 years ago is when he had great trade value. He's been going the other way. So, if you want to trade some people for young talent, there's timing involved in that too.
Yeah, I think Cole's going to be all right. I did mention he didn't have a great year this past year. Pittsburgh ended around 500, but his resume, aside from this past year, has been pretty good.
I think he's 28.
Yeah, how old is he?
28, and he's got maybe 2 more years of control, which at about $10 million a year, which is why he's attractive to the Yankees. Because the Yankees are absolutely 100% going to be under the salary cap this year.
Really?
And right now...
David, you don't think you have enough pitching right now?
Well, they do, but you never have enough.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I respect the great year CC had last year. However, a big guy, old guy like that, he could fall off the cliff.
They've got...
Did a good job. What did they give him? 1 year, $10 million?
1 year, 10, which is okay.
Pretty cheap, yeah.
The trouble with the Yankees pitching is if they all pitch to their top potential, they're in the World Series. But if they have issues, like Severino last year was really good. All right? The year before he wasn't that good. How will he react to pitching so many innings? Because he's still young. CC was about as good as he could ever get last year. Tanaka was not that good, but he was good and much better in the second half of the year.
Because I think, David, the Red Sox had the 3rd best ERA in the league, and the Yankees had the 4th best.
And Montgomery was okay. He doesn't have big stuff, but he's a pitcher. He's a lefty, and so anyway,
You got the kid from Oakland, right?
Oh,
and Sonny Gray,
yeah.
Sonny Gray's not too pricey either, and so.
And they mentioned Warren. Is Warren going to be a starter?
Possible, or the other guy they're talking about maybe is Chad Green, because Chad Green really pitched good last year.
Yeah, when you're deep in a bullpen, I certainly, you would always like to improve your pitching staff, but. You really got to kind of lay out what you have and compare it to the teams in your division. I wouldn't trade a lot of the young players for an additional pitcher. You guys seem to, be pretty well stacked, as good or better than, most of the teams.
Well, I'll tell you, the guy that's going to be a big key for them is Betances, because they didn't pitch him the last few weeks because he couldn't pitch a strike. And if he can get straightened out, because Robertson, I was reading a thing in Sports Illustrated last week, Buster Olney's top 10 relief pitchers, and the Yankees had 4 of them.
Really?
Wow.
All right.
Because they, Chad Green, Betances, Robertson, and Chapman. So those guys, that's pretty good. And if Betances...
Oh, yeah, that's deep.
But you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think what they're going to do is, I was reading today, they've got $167 million committed. They've got about $15 million more that they're going to have to spend for insurance. And then they've got another, then they figure that with what they're going to have to pay in arbitration, or contracts, they'll be about $10 million under the salary cap.
Do you know who's having issues with salary cap? My Washington
Well,
Nationals.
it's
They were actually 1.4 million, which is just not much, but they don't want to be over the cap again this year. And they've talked about Jake Arrieta. But I would say, even David, to your hopes, he gets a 4-year, $100 million contract. I mean, that just put the cap out of whack.
Well, the thing is with
Now, he didn't have a good year neither, did he?
he was pretty good in the second half.
He pitched poorly, very badly in April and May, and beginning of June. Then he came on like gangbusters after that. Caller, I have a question before I forget. If the season started tonight, who would win the American League East Division? The Red Sox or the Yankees?
Boy, I have no idea. You know, they're both very, very good teams. I wouldn't bet a nickel on either of them. You know, I think they will be challenging each other, you know, all the way through the year. They're both very solid.
I would certainly give the edge to the Yankees.
Well, just on this salary cap, just to finish it off, why it's so key to the Yankees? They've paid almost $300 million in luxury tax.
Yep.
And if what happens is that the longer you're on, the rate of taxation goes up, and the Yankees have been on for so long, they're at 50%.
15 straight years.
Is that right?
If by some miracle they get underneath it, it resets, and then the next time they go over, it's only like 10% or 15%.
You know, caller, you know, we've talked about Bryce Harper being a free agent. Of course, you got Manny Machado, free agent next year. And that could be their dilemma, is the big boys like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cubs. If they don't want to go over the salary cap, there's not going to be any money out there for Harper to get that kind of...
Well, the other thing I was reading...
No, that'll be interesting. And I think that's a reason why Victor Roble will not be traded from the Washington, because Bryce Harper is probably gone. And I think this Victor Roble will be kind of guarding that outfield for 10 years for the Nats.
Yeah, he'll be the starting right fielder 2019, Victor Robles. And the only rumors I've heard about Harper is playing with the Chicago Cubs with his best buddy, Chris Bryant, who they grew up together as kids in Las Vegas. Now, another question I have.
Now, do you see the Nationals trading Bryce Harper at All-Star?
No, because all their chips are in the middle.
They want to win.
Because Dale Murphy's contract is up after this year, and he's played great, and he only gets like $13.5 million, but I don't want to invest in him after this season. You know, he's still a below-average second baseman. Not that he's a great pitcher, but we'll lose Gio Gonzalez after this season. So the chips are in the middle of the table. Question I have for you, and I think it would make the most sense, is I think Baltimore has to trade Manny Machado. They're not going to contend for the playoffs this year, and get some bodies for them.
Well, Baltimore's...
Yeah, they're going to have to. It'll probably be, you know, I mean, they say they're not getting enough value in the offers they're getting right now. That'll probably be an all-star trade.
I think...
You know, at the all-star break, you know, somebody will open up their farm system and... But they need pitching. Really, Baltimore, if you go position by position... They've probably hit as many or more home runs than any other team.
Yep.
But they have no pitching at all. You know, their two best pitchers are Bundy and Gosman, and they're both very young and somewhat inexperienced. Now, their closer tore an Achilles tendon working out in California a week or two ago, and their closer is done for at least a half a year. And they signed Chris Davis to a pretty big contract, and I like Chris Davis, but it's all or nothing with him, you know? Yeah. He'll hit 3 home runs one night and strike out 5 times the next night. So they've got work to do, but like I say, they need starting pitching.
I have an adage. Any team that has Wade Millie on their starting staff.
Miley.
They're
You're
in trouble.
So they let him go. I think he was on a 1-year contract.
Right, he's gone.
Yeah, he hasn't even signed with anyone.
They had a thing today, caller.
Okay, I'll let you guys go, and have a good evening and great show, guys.
Thanks
Thanks.
for calling. See ya.
They had a thing. It was either this morning or yesterday. I think it was this morning. They were talking on MLB about Baltimore and what they should do with Machado. And they were comparing it to some team a couple years ago had a good player, and it'll come to me, who they traded just before the season. And they got one decent player back for him and a minor leaguer. But the trouble with Baltimore is their owner's a nut.
Yeah.
And every time they make a deal, they do physicals. And they've nixed about half a dozen free agents and deals because they're idiots on the physicals, and the owner doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, it's funny because all teams actually do physicals. However, they all interpret them a different way. If you're not 100% and they can foresee, well, they'll be healthy by April 1st, no problem.
Well, hey, when you're doing an MRI on a pitcher's elbow,
you're going to find something.
Every pitcher's got a bad elbow.
Yeah.
You can't help it. But Baltimore is probably going to be stuck not getting enough for Machado or getting enough for any of their guys because they're really in no man's land.
Yeah.
The trouble is with baseball now, either you're at the top or you're at the bottom. But if you're in the middle, you're dead because you aren't good enough to win and you can't get good enough to win. That's why Miami got rid of all of their players.
Yeah.
The NBA always kind of strikes me as the same way, which is why I give the Celtics credit for seemingly being kind of a middle kind of team, and however they did it, getting up into the seemingly the upper tier. But basketball's tough. If you're just kind of a mediocre team, good luck.
The aforementioned Pirates, they finished around 500 last year. But Josh Harrison, who's a really good, he starts, but he can play anywhere, is rumored to be going, and McCutcheon is still out in the market. So I think they're just kind of folding right now and say maybe 3 years down the road. Pirates had a nice run, made the playoffs, but they're not that team anymore.
Well, they were really horrible for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And they've had a decent stretch, but I think they just don't have the money.
Yeah.
They're really a small market team.
Yeah. And I may be wrong, but I just think as every day passes and, in 5 days will be literally mid-January, that their value of these guys are going to start dropping.
Well, you got to remember, too, Boris is their agent.
I was just going to mention, could he actually be sweating it a little bit? I guess if you're a multimillionaire, you probably don't sweat too much.
Well,
he's probably not the happiest guy right now, is he?
Well, look at the two corner infielders from Kansas City.
Hosmer
and Moustakas.
I don't even hear Hosmer's name much.
And I will tell you, if you would have put a gun to my head and who's the first free agent off the market, it would have been Hosmer.
Hosmer's a good guy. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But they don't want to spend $25 million a year.
Now is Lorenzo Cain still out there?
He's still out there.
He's a free agent
He's
too.
34 years old.
He's 34. Okay.
And the teams don't want to. Some of these guys are going to have to take $2, $3, $4 million.
Yeah.
Even Hosmer. Look at Encarnacion last year. Took a 3-year, $20 million deal.
Yeah.
When
he had a better deal from Toronto.
Yeah.
3 years, $20 million. Hey, it's $20 million a year isn't bad to play baseball.
Yeah.
But these guys think that the $100 million contracts are over.
Well, when Jason Worth signed that 7-year contract, this guy keeps himself in impeccable shape. He was 37 last year, but he only played maybe 80 games, if that, last year. And, Mother Nature catches up with him.
Now that the steroids are mostly out of baseball.
And Worth said he's still got 3 good years of baseball.
Is he history? Will anybody grab him?
The only way I can see him signing is maybe late February for $2 million to be a fifth outfielder.
Would he even do that, or is he going to feel so disrespected that he wouldn't even bother? Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, there are some teams that need players, like the Giants need some outfielders.
Well, I heard of Jackie Bradley going to the Giants. Billy Hamilton, this guy's the fastest guy in baseball.
Yeah, but he's not a good hitter, though, is he?
He only hits about 255, but he swipes about 80 bases a year. But the Nationals last year signed Matt Wieters to a 2-year contract at $10.5 million per season with a player option the second year. David, he was horrible. He might have been the worst starting catcher in baseball last year.
He used to be really good, Matt
He used to be
Wieters.
good. He's like 6'10", and the guy's a monster. He hit 225, hit 10 home runs, and not a great defensive catcher. Of course, he picked up his player option. Nobody's going to give him $10.5 million.
No.
So,
How come
of course, the Nats have talked to the Marlins. I mean, that could be a blockbuster. Kristen Yelich was a very good outfielder, and their great young catcher, JT Realmuto. So if they get them in a package deal, I mean, it's going to be a ton of minor league players going back to the Marlins, which is exactly what A-Rod wants, is to keep lowering that salary base. They're down to about $95 million a year right now.
Wow, their master plan, they're going to need to get down a lot lower, because if they think that they're going to have the same attendance as they had last year,
But
they'll
David,
be lucky to get 3,000 people a game.
You're right. That ballpark's about 5 years old.
I guess
and
it's nice.
It's a nice ballpark. Drove by it.
Is that right? Drove by it?
Never been in it. But aside from Tampa, I think Miami's always the proverbial bottom feeder for attendance. And like you said, this is going to be a glorified AAA team this year.
No, it's interesting, but it could open up sooner or later.
Meanwhile, spring training just, a little over a month away, right?
Yeah, a couple days over a month away. So,
But who knows? You still got Darvish out there. See, Darvish pitched so lousy in the World Series. Probably cost him $50 million.
It did, David.
It didn't help himself in the World Series.
But again, the Yankees have enough starting pitching. Red Sox have enough starting pitching. Dodgers have enough starting pitching. Who's going to want to invest? Again, I'm being
There's one
ultra-conservative.
team left, big market, that can spend some money, the Cubs.
Yeah.
If they lose Arrieta,
The Cubs can sign a couple guys to big contracts and not feel it. You know who else has rebuilt the team and they're a pretty good team now, and I thought they were going to be awful forever, is the Angels.
Yep.
The Angels, their general manager's done a pretty good job getting that team back.
Of course, they got the Japanese guy.
Right, and they last year they picked up the best defensive player in any position, the former Atlanta Braves Simmons.
Yeah,
How do you pronounce his first name?
I don't know, Andrelton or
Ultre or something, but he is unbelievable. They just picked up Zach Cozart, shortstop from the Reds. He's going to move over to second base. But they've quietly assembled themselves.
And Mr. Pujols may have some life left
he's
in him,
healthy,
presumably.
exactly.
he did have 100 RBIs. I
Yeah, he
think.
did.
really?
Yeah, I think
he had a
Yeah.
decent season.
Yeah.
His feet are bad.
And I hate to say this, but I still think Mike Trout was the most underrated player in baseball.
Boy, he doesn't get a lot of attention.
You know,
Well,
I don't know
all
if
he
it's-
does is just play well.
Keeps his mouth shut. I'll tell you another free agent. I mean, we're looking at these top tiers, but for the Nationals, we don't have a number 5 guy. We'll still win the division easy, but we don't have a number 5 guy. And I always say the 3 things in life you can count on: death, taxes, and a starting pitcher being out by June 1st. So a guy like John Lackey is available. I never cared for his personality at all.
He's the guy to dislike, but still.
But I would more than
pitch.
happy to take him as a number 5 guy. Don't laugh at me. I mentioned a Clay Buchholz is out there. I would more than happy take a flyer on him for a number 5 guy.
Good luck
with his
with
What a torturous guy.
Lackey, I think. But you know what? If these guys want $10, $15 million a year,
They're not going to get it.
they're not going to get it, because you got a guy in AAA who's better or just as good that you're paying $600,000 to,
Hell of a lot cheaper, obviously.
Yeah.
and got a lot more upside.
Yeah.
So is Arrieta, there's nobody, and there just hasn't been much noise about him?
Nats have kicked hard on the tires.
I mean, would the Cubs like him back, but just
They
not
would like
big
him back.
buckos?
Yeah. But, who knows? Well, listen, we got 31 minutes out of baseball talk. which is
How
pretty
about
good.
the golf? Did you watch the golf?
I did, and I just want to talk college football.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Look what I'm purposely wearing
I
tonight.
talked to you the other day. I'm not a big college football junkie. I talked to you on the phone.
In fact, you say
Monday
you never
night.
pay any attention to hockey. You ought to change your ways, especially if you're going to bag pro football.
Well, I will get into that. But I talked to David Monday evening, and he goes, "Hockey, you watching the football game?" And I go, "Well, I've got my DVR all set up." He go, "Oh, you're going to watch it around 9 o'clock?" I go, "No, about 1 in the morning," which is pretty much when I started. What a great football game. Very enjoyable to watch. And again, when you DVR it, fast forward through all the crap.
Guess who slept through the fourth quarter?
See, I only watch the fourth quarter.
Oh, Dave. Oh, you were at yoga.
And for
I
the,
know I was babysitting after that.
Oh, that's right. Your grandson.
for the record, that was the fourth straight year ever since they did the Final Four. These have been 4 straight great champion. I mean, Clemson wins in the last second last year. The Ohio State game when they had their third string quarterback, that big guy. These have been great games. So
Hey,
there's some great college football out there.
I don't like Saban, but the guy did a coaching job. He took a kid who hasn't played since October, and sticks him in there. And the kid only wins in the game that the pass they got lucky on. The pass they got lucky on, not the one they won the game with.
That was
a beautiful play. That guy's got a big gun.
Yeah.
But the tying touchdown was just luck. I don't think he was throwing it to that guy. I think he was throwing it to the other guy in the back who was behind him, and this guy just came out of the back and caught it.
Now, the inside dope on this is this Hawaiian quarterback.
Tua.
Whatever his name is, he was good.
The inside dope was if he didn't get in to play that game,
And guess what?
he was leaving Alabama.
And guess what? Funny you mentioned that because guess who now will probably leave Alabama? The guy he replaced.
What year is he, Duke?
This guy definitely had. I think he has 2 years of eligibility.
He's got no arm at all.
Right.
I mean, he
First
looks like
half
a
was
running
painful.
back.
He looked
He should be
terrible.
converted into a running
I
back.
give
that
him
guy's
a lot
gone.
of credit. He was a good teammate, and he could have pouted.
Yeah.
Tom Rinaldi. I heard there's a lot of criticism. How dare Tom Rinaldi interview that poor quarterback? He's doing his job, but
It's just a
I heard
college
the guy
kid.
did a.
He said, "Hey, I'm just glad the team won. Whatever it
Good.
took to win."
But the Ty, whatever the Hawaiian quarterback,
T-squared.
true freshman, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Same high school as Marcus Mariota in Hawaii, Honolulu.
He's got a very slight build, but what a big arm and what a great pair of feet.
oh, and he's got big legs.
This guy looks like
And he seemed like a great. In all the interviews, he seemed like a great guy.
he's a good Christian.
Yeah.
Praising God first.
no, he.
What a game!
I think he's good. Of course, Alabama's been able to run, but think about it. Saban has this quarterback. The quarterback that he took out has only won 61 out of 62 games.
Right.
The guy's not that's going to high school too, must be. And here he is, starts this other guy in the second half, and the kid was playing with reckless, and he made it like he just got sacked before the touchdown play, which was a kind of a rookie mistake. And so now it's second down and 21 or something, and he throws a Hail Mary touchdown pass. Beautiful.
And David, he threw it on the rope on his back foot.
Oh,
He made the receiver keep stride.
it was perfect.
It was about the most perfect pass.
Georgia's
another
to
great
blame,
game.
though. You know what you got to do when you get a team like Alabama down? You got to step on their neck and break it.
Yeah.
Because they had a couple of field goals. They could have finished them off if they'd gotten a little bit further ahead.
Yep, I agree.
Talk to Kansas City about that.
Same thing.
Yep.
The
So-
New York Times sports section, I happened to pick up at Times today for a not sports reason, but Sports Wednesday. I just started reading, but Nick Saban's the lead story, The Triumphant Masochist. And it's funny, I guess I don't love Saban, but I respect him. I think
Right.
I probably have the same feelings for Saban I would have about Belichick if I wasn't a Pats guy.
Exactly.
But it's hard not to, 5 national championships in 9 years.
And
6
Alabama
total.
was floundering before he got there.
Oh,
Not
absolutely.
right now.
And the last thing on Saban, word came out yesterday that he wanted to coach the New York Giants. Well,
Was
came out
was this-
today
really?
that, and that came from Lane Kiffin.
No, it wasn't Lane Kiffin, but it was.
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians was in the. Listen to this.
This obviously wasn't at a Saban's mouth.
He was in a bar with the newly fired John Fox from the Chicago Bears. They were pounding down the vodkas. Now, I don't know if it was Jay Glazer they were drinking with. So they were a little tipsy, and he just kind of threw that out more as fun. And he reported that Saban wanted the Giants, but there's absolutely
why
truth.
would you ever? I mean, like
you couldn't.
Coach K going from Duke to
right.
The Cleveland Browns or
the Cleveland
and the
Cavaliers.
thing too,
Sorry,
you guys,
terrible.
Nick Saban's no spring chicken.
Knicks.
He's 66.
He's very old. He's 66 years
He's
old.
almost as old as me. I guess he's not young.
You're 66, aren't you?
No, I wish, and I'm about to be older than I am. Yeah.
This month, 68.
Yeah, but don't rush it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I do want to get to golf, and I'll let you guys talk about it. Okay. I think we hit 22 below zero Saturday night.
Burlington hit 20 below Monday morning.
I had 22 below at my house.
Easy to believe.
So,
coldest temperature I got into this in my column. I did weather today, but coldest Burlington's minus 20 was its first record low in about 4 years. Probably its first coldest temperature.
So as you know, Kapalua is my favorite tournament. I love the green and the blue, just awesome.
Yeah.
So I said, oh my God, and I haven't been feeling well, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I watch more golf. Thank you, Golf Channel. It's not even on the networks. And so they showed 4 hours every day. I'm not saying I watched every 4 hours, but I would say by fast forwarding through some guys I don't want to look at, probably a good 2.5 hours every day. The downside to me was kind of cloudy for the most part, or the 4 days. There wasn't a lot of
last day especially, I think.
Sunshine. There were showers on
windy,
the last
boy,
day.
It was really
well,
windy.
you know what's funny
windy.
is you can have a shower.
One quick, did you play that course?
I've played that course.
David, and let me just ask you, a lot of, Dustin Johnson, a par 4, 433 yards, puts his
200 yards downhill.
It's all downhill, but he puts the ball on the green.
He's still
goes
good.
by the cup, but that was a fun. Even though he ran away. Go ahead.
Just to give you an idea, the last hole, the par 5, I was on that green in 2.
All right.
Okay, that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
What was it, a field of 28? I think all but 7 players I read had at least one drive of 400 yards.
Wow.
What you can't realize is you're basically on the mountain, and 16, 17, and 18 are coming down, and if you hit it in the right spot, it just goes. And they also were saying, and I agree, I can't believe there's a course that's worse, is that course is the absolute worst course for a caddy, because the front nine goes around the back side of the mountain, and you got like a half a mile between every hole. And those guys aren't taking a golf cart. They got to walk. And it's just a bear. The greens are so tough that even when you think you got a putt because of the grain.
Yep.
Wow.
If you notice, a lot of those guys had trouble with the greens. And they've been there for a couple of weeks. The putt could be going downhill and it'll break the other way.
David, you were early or late 30s when you played? Right in your peak of your athletic career?
Oh, I'm right in my peak right now. But
did you keep score?
Yeah, I did. I had about 120.
120?
What'd you have to pay? What'd you pay to
Nothing.
play?
It was, I'd won the trip. I'd won the trip from Buick or GMC or somebody. And the whole thing was all gratis. And so there's actually 3 courses that go with that.
They just play that one course, right?
I think in the old days they used to play the other 2.
One? No, really.
Now, let me interrupt you. When I started watching it, I said, this course looks in horrible condition.
The greens
were bad.
Discolored and all that. So finally later in the telecast, they had 20 inches of rain over a 5-week period this fall. And the course, aesthetically, from a TV viewer, looked horrible.
But I
noticed the greens in particular.
Those Douglas firs, and when you're standing up there and you can see, I think that's Lanai or the other island across the bay, It's just spectacular.
Can I ask you? I mean, on a flat screen, high def, it looks like wow.
How is it? Good.
How is it in person?
It's incredibly beautiful. You can't describe how gorgeous it is.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with Maui is if you're on the wet side of the island, they get 200-300 inches of rain a year.
Really?
If you're on the dry side, they get like 3 inches.
I assume there's a mountain.
It's a big mountain. Yeah.
Is that right?
When the trade winds, if you're on the wet side, you get all kinds of rain. And the cool thing was, and that happened when I was playing, is you can have one part of the course, you got a shower. On the other side of the course, it's sunny.
David, timeout.
Really?
I'm watching it, and it's like David Handy for the putt, and you're holding an umbrella. Well, let's go over to a hole number with Richard Copperthwaite, and it's sunny out.
Especially
like what you just said. So he may be 3 holes behind you. He's playing in the sun. You're putting in the rain.
The front nine is on the back side of the mountain, and on the wet side. And the back nine is on the drier side. And that's where and from the clubhouse you can see, and it's just, and we did all the stuff. We took the helicopter ride through the jungle on the other side. We did the snorkeling on the reef. That was really cool.
Is that your one visit to Hawaii?
I've only been once yet.
One more than me. You've never been.
I've been
one
there.
time.
I took a cruise
really?
out of Honolulu, and that's when I went to LAX like an idiot, saying, "We're almost there." Not even close. To go to Hawaii,
you flew there and took a cruise ship back to West Coast?
No, it was a cruise out of Honolulu.
Right.
I can't remember if 10, 12, or 14 days, but the really nice thing was we went to all 4 islands.
And where'd the crew, did the cruise ship just go back to Hawaii?
And then back to Honolulu.
Oh, really?
And flew back.
But you hit the big
So I did all 4 islands. So
I've never been to the Big Island.
The Big Island is Hawaii.
And the thing, too, what was good about that, we spent 2 days on each island. So if David Handy had a house on Maui, they could care less what you do for those 2 days as long as you're back on the ship. So I could have hung out at David's house and 40 hours later gone back to the ship.
We also, there's a big volcano on Maui, and we rode our bikes. They drop you off. They drop you off at the top, and then you ride your bike down.
Really?
And there's snow and stuff up there, and even in the summer because it's way up.
Hawaii does sound. I've never been close.
It's so, Maui used to be. What happened with Maui is Maui used to be almost all pineapple.
Oh yeah.
But they have really got incredibly strict zoning, and they don't want any more construction. They don't want anything.
Yeah.
David, there was a parcel of land no bigger than the studio. If it was a 1/12 of an acre, I might be overstating it. So I asked the tour guy, what's that little piece of property go for? I mean, it would be a very small house with no land left. Oh, that's $1.5 million just for that little piece of property.
So it's pretty much built out. Huh?
Everything, well, they don't want any more. They don't want any more in Maui.
Tourism obviously is huge.
And see, I think Oahu's where all the action is. For construction, because I think even the Big Island isn't too built up.
Yeah. I did all the tour. I went to, I was going to say Iwo Jima, didn't go there. Pearl Harbor.
Oh, really?
Such a nice, you can't even imagine that I don't want to say incident, but that occurred.
December 7, 1941.
Right. And I went out to the memorial where the oil.
Right, it's still
USS Arizona.
Yep. So I did that, but I went to a Dole pineapple plant, and like I said, I was Mr. Joe Tourist out there. But
I'm feeling a little bad. I haven't been there.
You really should go to Hawaii once in your life.
But the trouble is the flight out there. We went from Burlington to Chicago, and then we went straight
Chicago
to Honolulu, and then we stayed on the plane. They gassed the plane up, and then we went to Maui.
Oh, really?
And by the time you get within 2-3 hours, the flight attendants are cooked.
All right.
Nobody wants to talk to you. It's a long.
How long was Chicago to Honolulu?
12 hours.
Oh, it's a long flight.
Plus, you're flying against the wind.
Yeah. Duke, I was going to be doing a vacation that fell through. I told you out of Sydney, Australia. The flight there was like 25 hours.
Yeah.
From here?
From Burlington.
Is that right?
Or Montreal, whatever I chose.
I don't have an official bucket list, which I think you do, but Australia and New Zealand, and I should probably throw in Hawaii. That'd be in fact, I've got a friend who's going to hit all those stops next fall.
Well, if I were to give anybody a recommendation, you need at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the flight out, you need a day or two to recover. And the flight home, you're really a mess.
Right,
for
you're
about
a zombie.
2 or 3 days. It's such a bear.
If I had to give a recommendation anywhere in the world, and that was my favorite vacation, I probably spent 10 days there, Italy. Italy was a fabulous
I hear
place.
the best things about, friends who go to Italy. I never hear better words about any place than Italy.
And the only downside
Did you
was...
go to Tuscany? I heard that's beautiful.
Tuscany gets certainly good words.
I mean, Venice was just a couple of days there. It was fabulous.
Yeah, my kid and his mother, they were in Florence for a week not too long ago.
Just Florence.
Joe
Right on
Haney
the-
was in Florence.
Right
a
on the
couple
Arno
of years.
River.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
The
nice place
Leaning
to hang
Tower
out.
of Pisa was cool. Went to Sicily. So that was just a remarkable...
Now, I'll tell you what else was a nice place that I really had a lot of fun at, and it was really a nice place to go, was Bermuda.
Oh, Bermuda's great.
And Bermuda's only an hour and a half, 2 hours from Boston.
Such an easy
David-
place to deal with.
David,
Yeah, now you
listen,
can talk Bermuda.
I'll be there April 25th for one day.
Oh, great.
The pink sand is gorgeous.
Okay. No, I'm not going to the beach. I'm going to the greatest miniature golf course I told you right in the corner of the island, $15 to play. My wife beat me by 3 strokes in miniature golf. Okay. I was trying to be how do I be friendly and not just wipe her out? So we play 9 holes, and she was up by a stroke after 9.
Right, Donna.
And I said,
Good job.
all right, now it's time to get into gear. She went up by 3 strokes, and I couldn't overcome the deficit.
I don't know if I would be telling people
So
that.
I told her, I said, Donna, if I
This isn't
had,
the end of it. We'll be back. This
I said,
story's
if I
not
had
over.
terminal cancer and I had 1 week to live, I would charter a plane and get back to Bermuda to get a rematch. So we're going to be there. We're headed over to Europe.
Now, when we stayed there was another, see, in the old
Horseshoe
days,
Bay. That's the nice.
I've logged some time in the past in Bermuda. It
we
was my
stayed at
parents'
some
favorite
castle. I
vacation
can't
place.
remember it.
Castle?
It was some castle, something hotel. Of course, all of the help are all wearing Bermuda shorts. And you know what's cool? They're wearing like pink shorts with green socks. The cool thing about Bermuda, unlike the rest of the islands, is Bermuda has no illiteracy, no unemployment.
Right.
Our cab driver was a kid who was getting his master's at Georgia Tech.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a job when he came back. And he was just doing that for the summer.
Sounds like it's about as well in sync as any place in the
Bermuda
world, maybe.
It's spotless. It almost looks like Disney World.
It's only 11 miles. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
It's a little small.
And I think you can't rent cars. They don't let you rent cars there, I don't think.
No, I think you got to get those scooters, and those things are trouble.
Of course, my famous high school. How does this sound for a trip about a week or two after high school graduation with my good friend Clamman and 3 other friends? That our folks let us do this. Yeah, kids, happy graduation, have fun. So 5 of us, just graduated from Hingham High School.
And you went to Bermuda?
Went to Bermuda, but we thought we were going to be in
How could you afford it?
in a
It's
hotel?
expensive as all get out.
Well, I know, maybe that was my high school graduation present. But we thought, they had obviously signed us up for a place to stay. We thought we were going to be in some hotel. I mean, how was this for good fortune? The hotel folks probably didn't want to have 5 kids in the hotel. They put us in our own guest house behind the hood. We had our own place. We had the, motor scooters and stuff. This was unreal for a week. I mean, thanks, folks. More than good of you.
Now the other,
And just one memory. Tommy James and the Shondells, not my favorite guys, but Hawk,
remember
you're so
Tommy
good about
James.
this. Guess what? I can remember being in a bar in Hamilton,
Their big
listening
hits was
to.
Hanky Panky, Crimson and Clover, Money Money.
There we go. That was
Moni.
the song, Moni Moni.
Moni,
That brings me
which-
back to Bermuda.
Hamilton was where the
68.
town, yeah.
That's the capital.
And
But Bermuda's great.
now, to compare that to Jamaica,
Well, Jamaica's got some issues.
Jamaica's poor. Yeah. And when you fly into Jamaica...
Never been there.
I was in Jamaica last month, and...
oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, if Jamaica's poor, they probably...
The people are wonderful.
Yeah.
The wait staff at the hotel, we went... It was an all-inclusive place. I can't remember where it was. It had its own lagoon, but you flew into wherever you flew into.
Is this Nassau or elsewhere?
It was no, Nassau's in the Bahamas.
Sorry, I'm spacing out.
It was
Kingston's
and it wasn't Montego Bay. It'll come to me. Well, the bus ride from the airport. You're in one of these little Toyota vans that have the seats sideways instead of the other direction. And the guy is going about 80 miles an hour, and there's goats and sheep and cows on the road, and there's no guardrails. And you know damn well that if he gets in a wreck with that van, that those third world countries have no safety standards. Yep. No, there's no airbags. There's no nothing.
Can I bring you back to Cairo? I'm sure I've mentioned this probably a bunch of times. Been to Cairo twice. Both times flew out at night. And with one of my old friends, Nancy, I forget, my friends the Wizzles. Bill was stationed there with the State Department. But anyway, we're flying out at night, and we're begging the taxi. I don't know what it is, but these folks don't like to put their lights on at night. We're begging our taxi driver, we'll pay extra. Please put your light, where he's driving out to the airport, I'm sure very fast, no lights and stuff. I don't think, I don't know much about motors, but I don't think having your lights on is taking anything away from your engines, but we're begging this.
Wow.
So anyway, I'll give you Cairo.
These third world countries,
insane driving.
These third world countries have no safety standards. I just read today that in India, they have 400 people killed a day in car accidents. Wow. And the main reason is because the cars don't have any safety equipment at all. No airbags, no I-beams, no analog brakes. Because you can buy a car in India for about $6,000.
Really? Out of curiosity, though, I'm not sure they're doing a lot worse than us. India's population's roughly 4 times ours. How many people do you think in this country are killed daily in car accidents?
Well, I can tell you about 40,000.
50 or 100. I'm talking each day, daily.
Well, it was 40,000 a year.
You said India's about 400 a day?
400 a day.
Oh, so our country's about
40,000 a year.
40,000 a year.
Which is down, it used to be around 60,000.
It used to be, and it was lower than that, but now that everybody's on their cell phone, it's crept back up.
Because I always remembered, and I can akin it to the Vietnam War. Vietnam, we lost 58,000 Americans.
Very good.
In that
That's
war.
the stat in my mind.
And that was always pretty much what we lost in auto accidents a year. Now, of course, I akin Vietnam with the drug crisis we have in this country. We lose 60,000 people a year in drug deaths.
Is that what that figure?
And of course, all that. I don't want to get into drugs tonight, but growing up during the Vietnam era, there was just protests day after day after day, and people have said, isn't it funny that everybody protested Vietnam, but we lose just as many in 1 year with drug overdose, and we hardly hear that much about it. But anyway, I don't want to get serious tonight.
Let me just go, just one sports note about Kapalua. Just should note, Dustin Johnson playing out of his mind. I don't think there's another Tiger Woods out there, but if there is, or the closest, DJ at times is unreal. Didn't he win that he won that going away, right?
Nobody, when he's on his game.
When he's on, forget it.
Nobody can touch him.
And I agree. And he's so tall, and he's got whatever his physical regimen is. He's not muscle bound, but he
lifts weights twice a day.
Oh, does he really?
But he looks.
He's just strong.
But again, if anybody's gonna.
Well, the guy he was playing with, he was out driving him.
Brian Harmon.
By 100 yards.
Brian Harmon was about 5'8".
Who's a good guy? I see him at Hilton Head.
Well, I don't like
golfer.
him because I heard him use the F word.
You're talking about DJ now, or
Brian Harmon?
Oh, is that really?
He missed a putt, and I rewound
really?
it to Donna.
Oh, is that right?
What a pig mouth.
Oh, really?
He missed a putt, and he goes, "Are you effing kidding me?"
Oh, really?
And I said, I hate you.
And he said that, pretty loudly.
You should have listened to Pat Perez. Pat Perez missed a couple of putts.
All right.
And
you could hear him.
And the guys from the Golf Channel said, we apologize for that.
I think I did hear him say that
Because
once.
listen, I akin when you go out to play golf.
Equate's probably a better word.
To relax and have fun. Okay, is that the worst thing in the world?
But you're also not playing for $1 million first prize.
No, I'm playing with you.
I know. I'm just saying what you're not playing
because
for.
that missed putt I had on number 8 is forgotten by the time I leave the parking lot.
If we're having a match and it goes to 17 or 18 and I miss a putt like that,
we might hear a bad
you'll
word.
hear some stuff
that was
coming
my
out.
question. Your gang of 4 that you play with on Fridays.
They'll be swearing.
Really?
If somebody, and then you really want to hear the swearing, is after we've had a couple of beers after, and whoever won will badmouth the other two and say what losers they were.
Yeah.
But
So I have one last golf, and I want to get in football. We have 33 minutes left to go. I'm mystified by Tiger Woods. He's coming back.
That he's not playing more.
And his schedule is really late. I'm not saying play 4 times a month, maybe twice, 3 times a month. And I'm no golf expert. However, I know you need to play in order to advance your game. So you tell me why he's like playing.
We've had this conversation
right.
his first tournament's going to be San Diego.
Right, Torrey Pines.
But why wasn't he out in Hawaii?
Well, of course he couldn't have played Cap because that's a winner. That's winners only.
He wasn't a winner.
Sony Open. I think he might have gotten a sponsor's exemption
for the Sony Open.
He's like 1,000 in the world now. Technically, he couldn't get into the obviously.
I think last I heard he was like 687th ranked in the world.
Hawk, we've had this conversation a million times. I mean, I hear your point. Part of it may be, you got to think, he obviously wants to go out and play well. It sounds like he's more confident now, but part of him doesn't want to embarrass himself. The less he plays, the less chances he has to do that.
He never played a lot,
he's never played. He's never played a lot.
The most he played would be 17 or 18
The
tournaments.
majors were his big thing and gearing up, and the ones with his foundation and stuff.
I just think he needs to grind
it out. I understand your point.
Yeah. And obviously he doesn't need the money.
Not him.
And all
no,
that,
presumably not.
So, okay, the phone is ringing, but I'm going to jump into football right now, and I got a thumbs up.
I guess we got a thumbs up.
We got a call.
Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Well, here's a topic I bet you've never discussed and you've never been asked, any of you on the show. This is legal, by the way, so I don't mind asking you. Have any of you on the panel ever used smelling salts?
No.
I thought you were going to give us some drugs to answer.
No,
it's completely legal. See, I watch the NHL players. I mean, I watch the Blackhawks all the time, and before they hit the ice, you can see them. Patrick Kane and other guys, they're just inhaling the smelling salts.
Yeah.
No,
and it's completely legal. You can buy it on Amazon. And, so I gotta try some of this. It might be good for the golf game.
So Leonard, you've never done
tried
it either.
But Leonard, how everybody goes in concussion protocol now. Back in the day, we just called it.
he got his bell rung.
He got his bell rung, and they used to do smelling salts, take a play or 2 off, and then get back on the ice or on the field.
Well, it was used a lot in boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
It used a lot in boxing, but a lot of athletes use it now, especially in ice hockey. It just gives them a greater consciousness. They're more alive. And I've just been reading about it on Wikipedia here, and completely legal and not harmful.
What's in them?
And it's used a lot. People who are prone to fainting would carry it. In 2005, it says here on Wikipedia, Michael Strahan estimated that 70 to 80% of NFL players were using smelling salts as stimulants.
What's in them?
Let's see here. I'm sure we can tell you that. Let's see. The usual active compound is ammonium carbonate, a colorless to white crystalline solid. Because most modern solutions are mixed with water, they should more properly be called aromatic spirits of ammonia. Modern solutions may also contain other products to perfume or act in conjunction with the ammonia, such as lavender oil or eucalyptus oil. Historically, smelling salts have been used on people feeling faint or who have fainted. They're usually administered by others, but maybe self-administered. Some risk groups, such as pregnant women, may be advised to keep them close to hand. And smelling salts are often used on athletes, particularly boxers, who have been dazed or knocked unconscious. Hell, I've been unconscious on the first tee. You know, so it might be just what I need. I'm more concerned about my shoulder, quite frankly, than I am my consciousness. It's powerlifting, ice hockey, wake up competitors to perform better. And I'm sure it has a long history. I mean, it goes back. I got to bet it's been used since Roman times. Yeah, I figured it was nothing new, but kind of interesting. And you can buy it on Amazon. I might have to buy me a couple just to try it. You know, just to see what it does to you. Maybe it's good for my allergies. Clean out my nostrils. And, so did all of you on the panel stay up to watch the Alabama-Georgia game?
I acknowledged a while ago. I fell asleep right around the start of the fourth quarter.
How about the other two panelists?
Yeah, I watched the whole game.
I only watched the fourth quarter because I was babysitting my grandson.
Oh, is that right?
You were fine. You did all right then.
And the fourth quarter was all I needed to watch. It was great.
You did. I mean, that was. You think the NFL scouts? They certainly have. This Hawaiian kid. He's on their radar now down the road.
I guess.
I mean, as they put it, as the announcers put it when they put him in the game, they say this guy can really spin it.
Yeah.
I love that terminology. You don't hear that very often, and he can spin it. There's no question about that.
Leonard,
he makes me think of what he makes me think of is he's actually like a Cam Newton, maybe even a little stronger. That's what he makes me think of.
Leonard,
he's a lot better thrower than Cam Newton.
He went to the same high school as Marcus Mariota in Honolulu. Same high school.
Yeah, and I saw David a couple days ago, and maybe yesterday, I don't know. We talked about this. When they interviewed the Hawaiian kid after the game, you may recall, what are your thoughts? Well, I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing here. He says, I don't want to, make my parents angry, but my first thought is to my Almighty God, Jesus Christ, who gave me the power to do this, which I found I couldn't quite understand what he meant by that. Whether just by not giving his parents the initial credit, or in Hawaii, there are many religions, many cult religions in Hawaii. Maybe his parents are of a different religion, and he's a Christian. I don't know. I thought that was a rather different kind of answer. Do you remember that, any of you?
I do.
That doesn't sound like that unusual an answer to me.
I saw him in 3 different interviews, and he started the interview with the same quote.
Yeah, a bunch of
No, but the same quote. But the first time he was asked it, he says, "I don't hope my parents aren't mad."
Well, maybe
that was when he was asked on the field. He prefaced the quote by Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. He prefaced that by saying, "I hope I don't make my parents mad now." And I took that to mean by not maybe mentioning them first, or they were not of the same religious persuasion. There's the only two things I could deduce from that statement.
I don't think he's got much to worry about.
No.
His parents, of course, moved to Alabama with him from Hawaii just so they could.
Right.
I love his comment saying, "I don't even know how Coach Saban heard about me or knew about me. Hawaii's so far away."
Well, I heard one of the announcers say that one of the scouts that saw him in high school said that the best thing he'd ever seen at that age.
He was the number one ranked.
I remember that being said during the game. They said it was the best thing he'd ever seen in high school.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone out of Alabama after next year. He certainly knows how to throw a tight spiral. He just needs to hit the weight room a little bit. He's going to be a fine NFL quarterback.
Oh, he's a tough kid, and he's smart. Truly looks like a character person, which you can use in the NFL.
Yeah, sounded like a great kid.
He, just think what Alabama should be like next year with if they've got an offense that can pass and open it up for their running game. I mean, they're going to be near unstoppable, I would say.
Yeah. Leonard, a quick tidbit on the New York Giants. Today's favorite for the new head coach is Matt Patricia. We all assumed he was going to be signing with the Detroit Lions. It was pretty much a given. However, off the record, he has told people if he has this choice between the Giants or Lions, his preference is the Giants.
Don't the Giants want I would think they'd want an offensive, kind of a key offensive guy, or is that irrelevant?
Yeah, just get a good OC.
Yeah.
They want a guy who's going to lay the law down. The guy they interviewed from Carolina, the defensive coordinator, he's a real strict guy. There wouldn't have been half the crap going on.
Yeah. Now,
Did you hear what Collins had to say about
Nick Saban?
Belichick? He hoped Belichick wouldn't be hired because he played for Saban in Alabama. Even though we won all the time, I hated playing for him because it was just like boot camp. Well,
too bad.
Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah.
I thought that was, this is your top defensive player on your team saying, I mean, hey, he's too tough.
Yeah.
But by God, he in Alabama he played for Tough, and Tough got it done.
Yeah. I didn't realize Patricia went to RPI.
Oh, is that right?
He's a rocket scientist.
Yeah. So if that is true, what I read, and anything you read on the internet has to be true. So I would suspect by Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, but you think you think they would name him while the Pats are still in the playoffs?
Well, I sure wouldn't think so.
Well, on an off day,
is there some kind of informal embargo that you're not supposed to do stuff like that?
Only this week of the Super Bowl. They could sign him now. They could sign him now, but he couldn't go to the Giants until after.
They would want the ink on paper.
You'd think he'd wait till after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So there are good coaching candidates out there, no question.
Well, the guy from the Panthers there, his dossier isn't bad.
Nope.
Based on what I've read. I mean, the man has a trapdoor memory, and he can deal with all types of personalities. And anyway, it'll be interesting. We're only Hawk? We're only about 35 days from pitchers and catchers.
Yep. Pretty close.
Nice thought.
Hard to believe. Nice thought. We're only get the Super Bowl out of the way, and we get spring training. We get March Madness. We got Olympics this year too.
Got Olympics in a month. Yep.
So.
Yeah, we got the Olympics.
Less than a month.
We got a lot of stuff to look forward to. And I always like spring training. I mean, I just love watching the kids play. And but a lot of things going on. It'll happen quick. Super Bowl, obviously, just around the corner. And so, as I said, you get by the winter solstice, it's all downhill, even though we got a lot of winter left. Yeah. But it's nice to have a little reprieve from that deep freeze.
Yeah, that was pretty
for sure.
So
54 degrees Friday and some rain.
Yeah, what's going to follow, though, by that night is a strong cold front with Saturday morning doesn't sound like a
snow or freezing rain. What do we got coming?
A little of everything by Saturday.
Yeah, well, you get to February, you sit in your car and close the windows, the sun's shining. God, you think it's April. Yeah. I mean, the sun gets so much warmer, it's getting a little closer to us. And we got coming up, I know Richard likes weather and stuff like that, and I'm sure he's aware of this, that we have something that's going to occur that hasn't occurred, I guess, since about 1850 or so. The old saying, once in a blue moon, and I never really understood what that meant, but I do now.
Well,
we've got 2 full moons this month.
But, Leonard, what did you say about 1850?
I thought right on the internet this morning that we have not had a super blue moon since 1850 or something.
Oh, okay. You didn't say super the first time. You just said blue moon, which we have.
Yeah, a super blue moon.
Okay.
That's with the eclipse type situation.
Yeah, I guess that's believable. I hadn't read that, but I guess that's believable.
One of my favorite songs from the 1950s, Blue Moon by the Marcells.
Huh. Yep, the second
Well, isn't there a country song, too, Blue Moon over Kentucky?
Yes, there is.
I think Willie did that, didn't he?
Willie, speaking of Willie, he couldn't get through his first song in his San Diego concert last night. He had to leave the stage, and he's canceled all his January appearances now.
Really?
And they say he's got the flu or a bad cold, and he's gone back to Texas. And poor Willie, he's 80, 81, maybe. I don't know, not exactly. He's in his 80s, early 80s, and he a lot of hard miles on that boy. And
and he's still smoking about 5 bowls a day too to help him relax.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet you he is. No question about that. And obviously he's going to pass sooner or later. And in music, that's American music. That's an American Mount Rushmore type stuff. There's only been one guy like that. He's just really he's going to be missed, obviously, when he dies, and his music will live on. Great songwriter, written a lot of great songs, and has a style all his own. My brother-in-law says he doesn't really sing; he just kind of talks.
Yeah.
It's more like a poet.
Yeah.
And have you all seen him in concert?
I saw it's funny, man. I saw him once. In fact, it's I could get the date easily because I shouldn't have gone because it was the bad flooding in Montgomery. Remember when we almost lost Montgomery? Talking what maybe
I forget what year, but I remember that.
Anyway, I went to with my old friend Thea Whitcomb of Moonshadows fame. We went west, and Willie was playing at the Franklin County, New York Fairgrounds. Summer concert. It was great, maybe 5,000 people.
That's over in
Malone?
Malone?
Great concert over Malone or Malone area, Malone.
Yeah.
But that's, Willie put on a great show. I should have been playing news guy, but I had a good time with Willie and Thea.
Have you seen, David, have you seen him?
Never seen Willie.
Hawk, you seen him?
Never. I was never a big Willie
Not a big
fan.
Willie guy,
I knew when we worked together that was your number one country guy was Willie.
Well, he was at the Champlain Valley Fair once when I was doing the radio stuff there in the 80s, and I'll never forget after the concert, because we had backstage passes, back then, and, we chatted, and he went out with the crowd behind the grandstand there after his performance, and some guy comes up to him with a mayonnaise jar with some clear liquid in it. Willie, you got to try this. And, hey, Willie tried this, and he just bottoms up. He didn't care. Willie is just one of those guys, hey, roll me up and smoke me when I die.
Willie,
there's probably no more classic lyric than that for that entertainer.
Well, I don't think Willie drinks anymore. I read his book last year.
Oh, yeah.
It was very entertaining. But he's a big proponent of cannabis. And he said,
oh, absolutely.
And he said that it's a hell of a lot better for him because when he got drunk, he'd get in trouble. But when he gets stoned, he's a happy guy.
I trust Willie took note of what happened in our esteemed Vermont Senate today.
Yeah.
a voice vote passing recreational marijuana.
So, okay, Leonard.
They're on YouTube. It's fairly recent. There's an interview with him and his wife. And this is not his first wife, but is his most recent wife. And they've been married quite a while, these two. And anyway, very blunt. The wife is as blunt as Willie. And the interviewer asked them, what are your 3 basic principles in life? And the wife chimed in, not Willie. This is cable, so here we go. She says, rule number 1, don't be an asshole. Rule number 2, don't be an asshole. Rule number 3, don't be a GD asshole. That was Willie's wife. And that's on YouTube, and that's a fairly recent interview. That's the 3 rules of life, he says, that we abide by. And I laughed. And, of course, he's got a new record out with his 2 sons. Which is very good, and they're very talented, and his daughter can sing as well. And I'll tell you who can really sing. I like YouTube. If there's nothing else on TV, I go to YouTube and listen to artists' music. And Toby Keith and his daughter, Crystal Keith, when she was a teenager, and they sang a duet, Mockingbird. I don't know if you've heard that, any of you?
No.
I think I know.
James Taylor had a hit with it with Carly Simon.
Yes, I guess
back
that's
in
what I
1974.
But Toby Keith and
but that was a
Crystal.
remake. It was Early 60s.
When she was a teenager. And Crystal really is good. Crystal, you know, sounds a little bit like Janis Joplin. Got that raspy voice, and she's very good. But there are so many entertainers who have offspring that sing very well. I mean, Rod Stewart has a daughter that can really sing very well. And if you go on YouTube, you can find those kind of things. Yeah. You don't find them anywhere else, and they're very good. And but so be it.
Okay, Mr. Leonard.
Nothing really else. Politically, I'll tell you, I've been fairly quiet. I guess the House voted marijuana through today, right?
The Senate voted today. The House voted right after they started the session.
So
Senate did, yeah.
Yeah, and they're talking again about Trump wanting to pull the plug on NAFTA, but we'll see if anything comes about it from that. And I don't know. I don't know if he makes it. And it makes it the term. I just don't know. Oprah, they're kind of interesting. She beat him by 10 points in the most latest poll.
That's all we need. It's one more celebrity politician.
Right. Well, I'll give her this. I think she's smarter than the one we got now. I think actually she's worth about $2.5 billion, and they say that's what Trump's worth. And I got a feeling her $2.5 billion is probably more solid than Trump's right now.
Oh, I think Trump's been making some money. His real estate has really been since he's been president. I think they've really been doing a business.
Really? I thought his brand name is really taking a hit.
No.
His golf courses I read today are all losing money.
Well, golf business is lousy.
Of course, we all know that, right?
Golf business is lousy anyway.
Right. And, but I mean, like Trump Towers in New York City is taking a big hit. I mean, they've had a lot of tenants move out.
Well, mostly because of the aggravation, but his real estate in Florida is pretty strong, and he's got real estate all over the world.
Okay, Leonard.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
Don't forget smelling salt.
Okay.
I'll let you know. I got to order some on Amazon.
Okay. Thank you, Len.
And I'll get a vial for each of you. You can try it on the show.
Okay, we'll do it right on the air.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
For the record, the blue moon, the second, and I guess it is a super moon, so that easy to think that would be the first time in a long time. Last day of the month, Jan 31.
Credit to all three of us. 12 minutes left in the show, and we haven't brought up the Brady thing. The best way I can report that is from my son-in-law when I talked to him over the weekend. Fake news. I mean, I couldn't really believe 90% of that story.
Yeah.
There's probably a little bit of...
Yeah, I'd say there's something
There's
to it.
probably a little bit of something going on there, but not to the extent...
Exactly.
And again, I guess my biggest beef with beating up on my beloved Patriots is, what were they supposed to do with Jimmy G?
Exactly.
Okay, all you smart people out there, so they should have thrown Tom Brady out and said, Tom, you did a decent job for us. See ya.
Yeah.
Jimmy G, you're the guy. Had they kept Jimmy G, they would have had to, where they could have franchised him at like 20, 25 mil or something. So that's what you're going to pay for your backup.
They got Brady cheap. He's like 14 or 15, isn't he?
But I mean, that point gets lost in the shuffle. People saying, why didn't they keep him?
Yeah, Duke, I would love to beat up on the Patriots. However, they were 100% what they did right. And
the timing was made. Like I said, I think they should have unloaded him earlier.
This isn't coming for me. I saw it and it made the most sense.
So,
you play for this year or next year, okay? Brady's still physically capable. He's only going to win another MVP. You don't get rid of an MVP like that.
Yes.
They said if they keep Brady, I assume he wants to play 3 more years, they could go 13-3 every year and contend for a Super Bowl. Or they could have got rid of Brady and had it 10-6 for the next 10 years and just be a very good team.
And as you say, for all the people who are elevating Jimmy G to Hall of Fame status after, what is he up to, 6-7 games now?
Right.
As you keep saying, you might want to just take a little longer before you make him a superstar.
He doesn't have a resume.
Looks like a good young quarterback.
So I just think right now, anybody, any writer, they're always looking for dirt on the Patriots, and they basically have a bye week this week against Tennessee.
Of course, needless to say, I don't see it that way. Sean, I hate
13.5-point favorites. Tennessee looked terrible last week.
Although they somehow managed. I watched actually half the game at Rick's Grill in Milton and told my buddy Alex, forget it, Kansas City, Tennessee has no chance. Shows you what I know. Tennessee's not a horrible
By the
team.
way, I like Rick's Grill in Milton.
That's a great. Did I tell you? I talked to Rick a couple months ago and said, Rick, I've got a place where I'm telling you, I know nothing about the restaurant business, but I know you could make it big in Swanton. I know you would go crazy. And he looked at me and just started laughing. He said, hey, I've been in the business for 3 decades. I cater. You think I want another restaurant?
Yeah.
I said, I hear you. I'm just saying, this place, transport this place to Swanton, and you will go crazy. Wouldn't that?
I got to tell you, my buddy at Pie in the Sky told me the other day. He said, "You guys have been giving everybody props, but you didn't give me one." I said, the next chance I get at the next opening, I will.
Pie in the Sky's a great place.
Terrific.
I eat there. Outstanding place.
It's super.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy to give them
for
good
a locally
words.
owned
I know Lynn a little bit.
pizza establishment to make it against the corporate pizza giants says a lot for them.
Been there a week ago. The place is very busy now. It's a very, very good place.
Their fresh made bread is just outstanding.
Very good,
we're
very
actually
good
quite
place.
lucky with places like that because Mimo's is good too.
Yeah, Mimo's is great.
We got a lot of decent places to eat in town.
Yeah, I agree.
Irony this weekend, number 6, Atlanta, against number 1, Philadelphia in Philly. Atlanta's favored by 3, obviously.
As they should be.
Pittsburgh, who I think will be in the Super Bowl, my prediction, 7.5 over Jacksonville. Blake Bortles was nothing short of horrible with his arm.
He was just
ran
terrible.
for 89 yards, passed for 87.
Although Jack's defense is decent, I mean,
They're
that
decent.
might be a game.
Pittsburgh-
They might be a good landing spot for
I agree.
Eli Manning.
Right. And Minnesota, I'm telling you right now, folks who want to make money,
Minnesota's
big
going
money.
to the Super Bowl.
No, I disagree. They're favored by 4.5 over New Orleans. Take the 4.5 and go with the Saints.
New Orleans is good. Drew Brees looks like he's playing some good ball. That should be a good game.
Minnesota, yeah, but they're playing in Minnesota.
Yes, they are. That is indoors too, right?
Yeah, and it's a. I guess it's a
Minnesota,
showplace.
Minnesota, of course, side of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So yeah, most certainly indoor. They're not
I
gonna
think
do another New
Minnesota
York.
is really good.
Is this the second year that ballpark's been open?
No,
Yeah.
first
First year?
year, first season.
No, are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I think they just
I
opened.
thought it opened last year.
I don't think I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I think it's season 1. I might be wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
But that's where the
I
Super
like
Bowl
Drew
is.
Brees, but it's very easy to jump on the Viking bandwagon and root for a journeyman like Case Keenum.
Yeah. So you had the Steelers beating the Pats, assuming they both
yeah.
get to the champion.
Yeah.
Easily.
No, I'm not going to bet a nickel, but I'm going by a gut feeling.
Not a
here.
crazy. I mean,
My prediction is Ben is going to win the Super Bowl and announce his retirement.
Huh.
I think he's gonna lose to the Patriots.
Now I have
The
a question
Patriots are going to the Super Bowl.
for you guys.
Just don't tell me that I've got nothing to worry about.
You've got nothing to worry about this week.
As you infamously
This
told
week
me
you've got nothing to
some
worry
years
about.
ago.
David and Duke. I'm watching Channel 3 Sports last week, 11 o'clock news, and they open up with a picture of Kevin Sneddon, and I said, oh no. And I said, oh no.
No, he's finally going to go.
He got fired. And they open up.
Oh,
he
yeah,
got a
right.
2-year extension.
3-year.
Oh, it was a 3-year?
Did he really?
How bad is that?
And let me tell you right now,
They
where's
just
my
don't.
glasses?
Is that right?
They're 4-13-3 overall this year. 1-7-2. Notre Dame left the conference, so there's 11 teams. So in the past, all 12 would make the playoffs. Top 4 would get a bye.
Right? An
But right
extension?
now, the last place team won't even make the playoffs. So they won't even.
They somebody was telling me they are the 49th ranked program in D1 for hockey.
And how many D1 programs
50.
are? Is that right? They're just
Yeah.
50?
I thought it was like 55, but they're not
They're
a
the
good
bottom.
team. They play UMass Amherst. It was not a good program.
What do you
this
think? I guess
weekend.
if you're Kevin Sneddon, you want to hold on to what you have. Wouldn't you think part of him might want to have like one more, just go to a different place and maybe hope he does a little better? I guess you like
Listen.
the status quo.
Well,
if they
hey,
treat
it's a
you
pretty
well,
good gig. You're getting about $250,000 a
I
year,
understand.
and plus perks.
Oh no, yeah, I hear you.
It's
Wow.
And
a
not only
tough
that,
job.
not only that is they will start refurbishing Gutterson about 13 months from now,
Yeah.
literally. I'm going to assume they're going to do a very nice job with that. You got to remember, UVM hockey is the only game in town. Basketball does great too. However, you watch Nesson, you watch a BU game, a BC game, a Harvard game. They're literally playing in front of hundreds.
Yeah, we're not talking a lot of fans
No,
here.
because Boston's
And
got
nice
a
new
lot
arenas.
of things to do.
we went to a Providence BC game. about 10 years ago in Providence. There's more people at BFA game.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Of course, the baby bees are in Providence. Maybe they get most of the attention.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just got so much. Of course, I think kids today don't go to the sports unless the only sport that still has enthusiasm. I take that back. There's two. I think college basketball, they don't have any trouble getting the kids to go watch that. And they don't have any trouble getting the kids to go watch college football down south.
Yeah, you're
They
right about
love college football down south.
If you like beer, that's a good place to go. Now listen, UVM basketball played at home Saturday. I can't remember what time it was, 2 or 7. And again, it reached 20 below zero. That place was packed. I thought about going. The place was packed. The UVM basketball right now is
very good.
They're on
team.
the zenith.
Good win.
Right now, they're 2-0.
Good win on the road against Harvard a couple weeks ago.
They played their last non-conference game with their neighbor Dartmouth tonight.
They're playing. I think they were well ahead at the half.
And then they start. They're 2-0, but then they complete their America East. And as I told you, I expect them to go how many games they play, 16-0, whatever.
Yeah.
And this is without Anthony Lamb.
Big
sophomore.
injury.
He might be back by the end of the year.
For the playoffs, absolutely.
That's a big injury.
UVM
Very
is good,
team.
and they're not refurbishing, Patrick. They're getting a brand new arena.
Good.
Yes.
And that will bring some even better recruits up here. But their basketball program is fabulous.
Talking hoops, how'd the Celtics end up in London tomorrow night? Is this like
tomorrow,
an NFL
If you're not
thing?
doing anything tomorrow afternoon at 3.
Oh, thanks. 3 o'clock?
Tip-off.
8 o'clock London
they're
time,
playing
9
Philly,
o'clock.
and a trip to London is no different than a trip to Oakland.
I know, but is this the NBA doing what the NFL is trying to do? Is that just?
Yeah.
I realize basketball sounds like American NBA is very popular in
Think
Europe.
about
A bunch of
basketball.
European players.
It's like soccer. You don't have to be rich to play basketball. Soccer's a little cheaper, a net and a ball, but basketball is a cheap.
But does the NBA? Do they always have it? They've been having at least one game in London.
I don't know.
But we got
Almost
two
too
and a half
bad
minutes. And we'll get more into it. But Danny Ainge, okay, they have the LA Lakers pick, and the Lakers have won the last 2 games. If the Lakers finish between the 2nd and 5th worst record in the league, Celtics have their pick.
Wow.
They were the 2nd worst up to a few nights ago. They've won 2 games. I expect the Lakers to be in the bottom 5. Celtics will get a lottery pick.
Wow.
And
now, New Jersey's
might be another Dookie.
a better team, too.
Jersey.
Weren't you saying that?
Brooklyn is what we
Brooklyn's playing
traded.
a little
Brooklyn's out of the lottery at this point. And, next week, we'll get more into it. I didn't realize we were going to be doing a travel log this week, which was fun. But the Celtics and your buddy, Jason Tatum.
Playing well.
Just unbelievable. There's some good rookies out there this year. So
I congratulate your Habs on a 2-game winning streak, I believe.
well, they're on a 5-day hiatus right now. Every team
Is everybody?
vacation.
Is that right?
So we reopen our vacations.
Boy, bad time
Saturday
for a break
night
for them.
at the Bell Center
against the Bees.
the Bruins. So the Bruins have been playing really
Bruins
good.
who have had points in their last 11 games, 8-0-3.
Bruins have the 4th.
Isn't Bruce Butch Cassidy? Isn't he easy coach of the year at this moment, or am I
He's
missing
definitely
somebody?
a contender.
Boy, it better be a contender.
Up there, Toronto, Mike Babcock would be a contender up there. So as I told you guys before, I don't have to worry about missing the playoffs.
Boy, yeah.
I lost my mic.
So no hope, Hawk, for the playoffs for you? Not much?
Currently in 14th place.
Really?
So when you have to skip, 6 teams to get into the final playoff spot, it does not bode well
Is
for us.
Claude getting a lot of grief, or is it
No,
just...
as I said, I wish I could sit here and make excuses, and I'd like to talk to your son, Bud. I know he's a big Canadiens fan. But they just lack talent. That's the simple reason. They're just not a good team.
Carey Price with their one All-Star. Did I hear that today?
Don't you have to have an All-Star representative from
You have
every
to have
team?
somebody?
And he's got a 2.89 goals against. He was horrible to start the season, but I think he had a knee injury.
And he's better?
But he's been playing well of late. So the Canadians are just going to have to win 15 out of 20 type thing to get themselves even back into it.
Not going to happen.
I don't see it happening. So, Zach, wrap it up.
Okay. So I don't have my watch on uncharacteristically.
Yeah, so That is
2
it
seconds.
Oh, here we go.
for Super Dave, my pal the Duke, Mr. Zach, our director tonight. I'm the Nighthawk, and until next week, as always, remember, folks, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
Adios.